Hi, I'm Vaishnavi and my channel is called Motivation Matrix. And as the channel name suggests, it's about motivation. And creating these contents is more of a selfish motive for me because I love having that kind of motivation each and every day. And as in how I create these contents, I feel like this motivation is just coming double fold into my life. And I love sharing these contents because I really hope and believe that just like me, there is someone somewhere who is waiting for such kind of topics to understand so many things about human emotions, mental health. So if at all it is helpful for someone, then I will really feel very happy about my channel and my content creation. And as the title suggests, it's going to be about vulnerability. And usually we feel vulnerability is a sign of weakness, right? But in my opinion, I firmly believe that being vulnerable takes courage. So in no way it's a sign of weakness. So if you're new to this channel and you like such kind of content, then please do consider to subscribe to my channel. And if you're already a part of this community, then please welcome back. And as always, I am going to include a short story in my content because yes, storytelling is the best way to convey your message. And who doesn't like stories, right? So let's start the short story first and then let's explore more about this topic. Let's start the story. In a peaceful village, there was a potter named Samira. She was a very skilled person and she knew her art. She knew that she has to put in her heart and soul in order for her, the project to be really beautiful. So she did just that. She always used to put in her efforts, her hard work, and most importantly, as I said, her heart and soul into the work that she had taken up. And so she was kind of famous, not just in her village, but even the villages that were neighboring to hers. And this is how she used to live a good life and had earned a good name. One day, the elder of the village, he approached her and he said, Samira, can you please create a beautiful vase for my daughter's wedding? This was a huge thing for her, and she was determined to come up with a beautiful vase which the elder of the village would always, keep it in his memory. And she just wanted it to be the best. And likewise, she put in all her efforts. She worked hard. She tirelessly gave in her time and energy and thoughts towards, creating that beautiful vase which the elder of the village expected. So many days went by and she put her efforts, and there it was, a beautiful vase which she felt is like, was very perfect. And of course it was beyond perfection if you would see that. So obviously it was beautiful vase that she finally created. But then unfortunately, just as she was placing it in the kiln, her hand slipped, and the beautiful vase, it fell down and broke into pieces. Along with the broken vase, even her heart broke because she knew the kind of loss that she was experiencing at that particular moment. So she was very sad and very kind of, she felt that it was a sign of failure because all the kind of hard work had just gone in vain. So for many days, she secluded herself. She felt like she was a failure, and she felt like her image is completely tarnished because of what just happened to her. So for many days, she was in that kind of mode wherein, she was not able to process her emotions and actually accept what had happened. But then one fine day, when she was in those deep thoughts and she was staring at those broken pieces, she could find out the way the light was playing on the jarred edges of those pieces. And she found that every shard had its own unique beauty, although it was broken. And that is when she got an idea that she needs to make something out of it. She decided to use the technique called kintsugi, wherein gold is filled in those broken parts. So she decided that she will piece up the entire broken vase all over again by filling it with gold. So again, she started working on her project, and of course, very tirelessly and with complete dedication, hard work, and as always, she put her heart and soul into it, and she really made it possible. She created a piece that was so unique, and you could say it was beyond perfection. It looked so beautiful. So the elder of the village decided to come to her place to collect the vase. When he came, he saw the vase and he said, "This is not what I expected." And then he slowly started, noticing the gold seams, and he kind of touched it with his fingers, and then he realized how beautiful it is. And then he said, "It is much more than what I had expected. It's beyond perfection." He was so happy looking at that. And he looked at Samira and he said, "It is a story. What you have created in the form of vase is a story, just like all of us have one story in our lives." And Samira smiled and she said, "Yes, indeed." And the elder of the village was very happy to receive such a beautiful, beautiful creation done by Samira. Samira could understand the meaning of the entire process that went on in her life for that particular span of the period of creating this vase for the elder of the village. She realized that it was in the moments of her vulnerability and weakness that which she thought was a sign of failure, a symbol of failure. It was in those moments that she could actually turn all these things into a testament of her own strength. And that was the vital lesson that she could draw from this particular incidents that happened in her life. Just like Samira, most of us go through all these kind of experiences in our lives. I'm sure you'll agree. Many a times we put in all our heart and soul into a certain thing, and we feel that we are creating something so beautiful for ourselves in our lives. It can be anything, it can be your career, your relationship, just about anything. You invest your emotions, you invest everything that you have got, and you offer to that particular thing in your life, thinking that you're creating something beautiful, right? But not everything goes on well, and everything is not a smooth sailing. There are times when, just like the vase that just broke into pieces, our dreams get shattered, our expectations get shattered. And those moments where we really feel that we are a failure, or where we have that sense of shame, those moments are very, very vital and precious. But we look at it as if it is a symbol of shame, symbol of failure. And many a times we numb that emotion. We say, so what, it is a failure, but I don't want to look at it anymore. Let me go ahead and do something else. While that kind of mindset might help you in coming out of a certain thing and not feel depressed about it, which is a good thing. But then the point is, sometimes it is necessary that we sit with the grief, because I'm sure you'll agree that before a particular thing came to a stop, before a particular thing broke, or it came to a halt, a sudden halt maybe, which you never expected, before that, the kind of emotions you had invested, the kind of time and energy you had given into it, right? That was real. So you cannot be mechanical, or kind of on a robotic mode, that Okay, this happened, so what? Get up, start doing something else for yourself. Although it is easy to say and it is so beautiful that it sounds, it is not practically possible because you know the kind of hurt that you've gone through, right? So it becomes very necessary that you take out that kind of time. You allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's not a symbol of weakness. It is going to prove that, it is going to be a testament of your strength. Because until and unless you accept your failure, until and unless you accept your flaws, until and unless you acknowledge that, yes, this is my weakness, you will never put in efforts to come out of it. And being vulnerable doesn't mean that you have to be in that state of mind. It doesn't mean that you have to stay depressed. All I'm saying is acknowledge the pain because the pain is real. Sit with it, deal with it, and then after some time, once you learn the lesson, once you understand what went wrong, it's time to get up and turn that shame and that weakness into your own strength. That is wisdom. And that happens only when you allow yourself to stay vulnerable. That will happen only when you do not numb those emotions. They say that anything bad happens, they say that I am not a weak person. I'm not going to sit and cry over there for that. So what? I will just, quickly make up my mind, wake up and just, I'll, pretend, I will act, I'll behave as if nothing happened and my life is normal. What happens with such people? They're bottling up their emotions. They are not getting a channel wherein they can open up and they can just tell that, yes, this hurt happened to me. Yes, of course, this pain is there in me. Can you understand the kind of loss that person will experience as long as he or she will bottle up that emotion? The only solution is embrace those moments of vulnerabilities. Embrace it. Accept. Yes, it was a flaw. It was a fault. It was my weakness. And staying vulnerable doesn't mean you go public or you go and open up yourself in front of everyone in terms of your emotions and tell that this happened and look at me, I'm crying, I need sympathy. No, that is not vulnerability. Vulnerability is the kind of strength, is the kind of courage that you're showing towards yourself by accepting, by acknowledging, and if need be, you're showing your emotions in terms of your tears, in terms of your, the feeling of hurt. Maybe some days you'll seclude yourself, just as in the story we saw. There is possibility that we'll seclude ourselves from the rest of the world. Why not? Solitude can give you so many answers to all the unsolved questions or unanswered questions in your life. Sit with yourself. You need that moment. Do not think that, by staying vulnerable it is a sign of self pity. Self pity is completely different. Self pity is wherein you're considering yourself as a victim, but in vulnerability the story is completely, changed. When it comes to vulnerability, it is more about acknowledging your weaknesses. It's more about the courage to say, yes, I went wrong. Yes, that is my weakness. And when you release that kind of emotion, it is only then that you will have the capability to rectify it. And as long as you numb that emotion, you will never find the necessity to rectify it. It could be a failure in your own profession, it could be failure in your relationship. And when that happens and you do not process your emotions and you do not give yourself that kind of time to understand your own emotions and stay vulnerable to your own self, or stay vulnerable uh, for whatever is happening at that particular point of time, if you don't give that kind of time, what will happen? You will again fall into a wrong decision, and this will repeat. But then when you take out that kind of time and you stay vulnerable and acknowledge and understand that, okay, fine, this happened, I'm not feeling ashamed of this anymore because I am acknowledging my flaws. I'm acknowledging my mistakes. So when I know there's a mistake, I will also have the sense to rectify it. So think about it. I firmly believe that staying vulnerable is not at all a sign of weakness. And if you are lucky enough, if you are blessed enough to have a kind of friend or a family member in front of whom you can actually, show your vulnerabilities, then why not? If that person can give you the kind of comfort, then why not? The point is, do not numb such emotions. Do not just pretend that you're okay when you're not okay. And I've heard this particular line, this famous line, and I think there is a song as well on this particular line, which says, "It's okay not to be okay." At times, we encounter failures, right? Perfection is not something that everyone gets. Nobody is perfect. In my opinion, nobody is perfect. There are imperfections in everyone, there are flaws in everyone. But the wisdom lies in the point that we recognize it, we acknowledge it, and we don't run away from those flaws. We stand there, we have the courage to stay vulnerable and accept it, and then rectify it. So it's all about it in today's content. I hope you liked these thoughts and the short story that I had today for you all. Personally speaking, I loved the subject. I loved, researching about this particular subject, vulnerability. Yeah, most of us, we feel that it's, something that is a flaw in someone if that person is vulnerable, and if that person is like, actually accepting in front of us also, we say, oh, that person is so weak, right? um, you know or maybe if somebody cries also, we say, oh, this girl is so vulnerable. I feel we need to come out of that mindset, and we need to recognize that is not weakness. That person had the courage to know that it was wrong in that person. That person had the courage to put out the emotion. We should rather respect that emotion, and if possible, sit with that person and show some kind of empathy. And if that is not possible from us, at least let us not make fun of them, saying that, oh, that girl is so vulnerable, oh, that boy is so vulnerable. Let's stop that and understand that vulnerability is a strength, it's not a weakness. Weak is the person who runs away from these emotions. Weak is that person who numbs these emotions and will never think of rectifying his or her mistake in life. Whereas a vulnerable person will recognize, acknowledge, bring out that emotions if need be, and then rectify it. So yeah, it's very simple that it is in those moments of vulnerability that we really understand what is our strength. So we need to give ourselves that kind of time. We need to give ourselves that kind of empathy, self love, and understand that flaws are there. Now it is up to me how I need to rectify it, how I need to go ahead in life, and not just try and think of an alternative and do the same mistakes again and again and again. So I hope you like the content. Please share your feedback in the comments below. I would highly appreciate reading them and also replying back to you guys. So until the next content, please take care of yourselves and stay positive. And yes, keep in mind that vulnerability is, of course, your strength. Thanks for watching the video. With that thought and the short story, I'm ending the video. Take care of yourself.